town hall of season 4. So we operate over seasons, which are anywhere from 10 to 14 weeks, depending on what we need to get done in the season. And and this one is the last one of season 4. We'll be kind of going into planning mode for a couple weeks. And we'll talk about a cool event that we have during our planning cycles that'll be an opportunity for all of you to get more involved with what we're doing. But yeah, and then the output of that, output of a few weeks of work there will be our season 5 roadmap with a lot of detailed nitty gritty work that we're going to get done on rigs and the protocol. If you're new to our town halls or you're just figuring out what this project is, a quick overview there. So Tableland, our primary focus is building a new protocol for the database, the data layer of Web3. We build a Web3 native database that allows you to create structured data that you can administer from smart contracts and wallets. So if you've ever used a database before, it's just tables of data, rows and columns with schemas of what data types they are. If you haven't used a database before, a good analogy is it's like sheets in a Excel spreadsheet that you can fill up with the types of data that you declare. Who can modify that data is defined by access control rules that are Web3 native, meaning the people that are building on this can define the rules for how data changes based on the way that the blockchain is executing, the way that Ethereum, Optimism, or Polygon right now are executing their smart contracts. And then additionally, we have the first NFT built on the Tableland protocol. Good note, the reason that people fill these things with data is to actually drive a lot of new experiences in Web3. And one of the big categories of experiences are experiences around NFTs, where where the creator of the NFT wants to be able to program mutability and dynamic experiences into the actual metadata of the NFT. And we have a bunch of examples of projects that are doing that already. The first one actually that ever was built using the protocol, I think, was our own project called Tableland Rigs. And it's more than just an experiment or an NFT actually that we built. It's actually our primary community NFT. And so a lot of you are probably rig holders, and we're building in a lot of cool experiences for owners of rigs that actually are driven by the protocol. And so there's a really deep connection between the two that we're slowly revealing to everybody and getting you more and more involved in it. And so every town hall, we go over, updates in the protocol and the network, updates in the rig NFT, and then updates in general ecosystem events and opportunities and what's going on with builders. And so we'll do that today. I'll drop a link in general here for you all. Done. Just dropped a link of the agenda for today. And so you can follow along there. And just check out all the links to different things that we'll talk about. So that's a quick overview on the town hall. Then usually, the way this goes is we'll go through our updates. A bunch of people from the team are going to join to talk about different sections of those updates, and finally, we'll open up Q&A. And so, like I said, if you want to get involved in the Q&A, just go ahead and open up general and drop your questions in there, or use the hand function here on the stage, and we'll get you up at the end. So with that, I think we should just get started. So yeah, we're going to go through all the protocol updates, then we'll jump into rigs, and then we'll jump into ecosystem. So first thing I wanted to talk about was, first thing that we're going to talk about is the table dashboard. So if Alan can hop up here, he's going to share that with you.
Yeah. So the dashboard, it's been in private data or private beta a little bit. So if you've been at a table raising, you've had a chance to use it with Brian and I there sometimes. Let's see, dash.tableland.xyz. You can do all sorts of stuff there, inserts, updates, kind of just the raw SQL stuff we've been talking about. Let's see. Yeah. There's a mechanism for feedback there. So for those of you who are currently visiting dash.tableland.xyz, you'll see in the bottom right corner there's feedback. I am very, very open to feedback. It's currently, in beta. We know there are going to be things that you're going to want, and we're excited to provide those for you. So yeah, feel free to visit, and I'll keep you posted on updates.
Yeah, cool. If you're not a developer, two things. One, you can just watch the overview. It's pretty cool. Early preview. I'll drop the direct link to that YouTube video in general. Alan
I was forgetting. I
present.
was sitting here like, there's something I'm missing. Oh yeah, I dropped a video on our YouTube.
Yeah, it's really good. Just kind of walks through the basics of how to use it. So even if you're not a developer, you can watch that and kind of see what's going on there. This is the first release. There's a lot of new features and tweaks that we'll make as it kind of rolls out. If you are a developer, the purpose of that dashboard is to quickly dive in. If you're not writing, smart contracts right away, you can already be using the protocol to create tables and populate data and query data from tables that you didn't even create, and explore how the network works. Yeah, and there'll be a lot more there coming soon. Cool. And yeah, any feedback is awesome because just early days there. So I think the second part, and maybe the biggest, meatiest chunk of our protocol updates is our work to expand the Validator network. So Carson, if you could hop up here. Yep, there you are. Never mind. Carson, if you want to share something about the Validator work.
Howdy. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or good day. Yeah, thanks for the intro, Andrew. So we do have a ton of stuff on the Validator front. We do have our sort of initial private data. We're calling it Wave 1 of our early Validator program. That's kicked off. Honestly, the Validator teams that are in there are like suspiciously awesome. They're just running things without any issues, and it's going really well. So huge thanks to, if anybody on the call here today is one of those validators, they're just doing a great job. We've got a couple of updates coming down the line for them. So there's a new release of the of Go Tableland, the validator, and validators, please do make that update. It's coming out pretty quick. We'll and that'll give you like somewhere between 3 or 5 time cost reduction in running the validator. So pretty incentivized to do that update. You can see the notifications and things in node operators. For the folks on the call, you're welcome to sit and listen. And then the folks that are actually part of the first wave can actually make comments and things in node operators. But if you want to know what's going on and figure out who's running things, you can check out node operators. We do have one big important announcement, which is that our primary node, EVM node provider, Alchemy, is dropping support for Optimism Kovan. So and that's happening like as soon as next week. So this is a big, important red announcement. Soon, Optimism Kovan will not be a viable option for Tableland, running Tableland smart contracts and things like that. We will be providing additional information over the next week about when exactly that's going to stop happening, what's going to happen with tables, et cetera, et cetera. Listen in on the Node Operators channel on Discord if you want to get more details there. There'll be announcements in Discord and on Twitter and anywhere else we can think of to let folks know. But that is a pending update and something to keep watch for. And I'm going to mention it one more time before I leave. But in some more fun news, we do have a few new query options for folks that are interfacing with the validators. So using the SDK or the CLI or the REST APIs or however you interact with Tableland. So some of you may have noticed that a while ago, the default responses, if you didn't update the SDK or the CLI, were coming back a little bit different than you might have been expecting. If you want the old way back, make sure you update to the latest SDK or CLI. Basically, what we did is we added a couple of parameters to the query APIs to make it a lot easier to use it for NFT metadata and other things like that. So soon, the default response from those query APIs is going to be basically like key value objects that represent like column name and the value per row, and there's an array of those. And then the current behavior, which is now going to be called the table option, that will become an optional configuration that you can use. Anyway, check out the notes for today's town hall. There's a link to the updated parameter options in our docs. And then there are some kind of cool goodies for folks who are trying to drive NFT metadata with Tableland that make it a little bit easier to get very customized JSON responses and things like that. So you can get you can get really creative, I think, with your table configurations and still get back ERC 721 compliant data if you so choose. So there's a couple options to like basically extract what you need from the query responses to make it look like the JSON that you are expecting and know and love. So we'll take a look at that. Let's see, what else do we have? Yes, we're for the validators in the room, we've got some new tooling that's coming out for cross-validator state comparison to make sure that everybody's arriving at the same state so that the Tableland Network is looking and behaving the way that we expect it. And the cool thing here is this is actually going to dovetail into a bunch of work that we're kicking off around actually publishing table roots and simple proofs at the protocol level for actually looking at the structure and proving the structure of tables and things like that. So you'll be able to start getting actual like row inclusion proofs and things like that coming up not too far from now. So that's really exciting because that opens up a whole bunch of new use cases that I think folks will be able to play with. And then the other thing is that we are reevaluating a bunch of our existing APIs and endpoints on the validator. So if you as an SDK user or a smart contract user or a CLI user have some opinions about how things could work, we really do want to know. And so you can make it known to us. You can make your opinion known to us on GitHub. And Sandra's going to talk a little bit more about that when he talks about going more public, which I'm really, really excited about. And so I'm going to stop there and let Sandra take over.
Awesome. So yeah, I guess the first thing to touch on here is we're going to be adding Arbitrum support in a couple of weeks. Definitely let us know if you want to use it. We've had some requests for it, and we've kind of just been waiting on Alchemy to switch over from Arbitrum 1 to Nitro, and they have done that. So yeah, we're excited to get that going as well. So we'll have Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon, and Ethereum mainnet, and we definitely have our eye on some of the ZK style layer 2s as well, but they haven't been picked up by any of the providers yet, like Alchemy or Infura, or they have them in private beta. So also definitely let us know if there are any of those that you're looking at, like ZK Sync or Starknet or Arbitrum has a similar one. I'm blanking on what it's called, but yeah, those are all super rad, and some of them have EVM support, so which is a requirement. And then, yeah, so like Carson said about going more public, we announced a couple weeks ago, I think now, that the Rigs repo is open sourced, and that's at github.com, Tableland Network /Rigs. And definitely take a peek in there, because it's not just the contract, it's got tons of tooling for building the actual NFT, so things around kind of distribution of traits, and there's a whole CLI called the Rigs CLI that lets you generate however many rigs you want, and chances are you'll be spinning ones out that aren't part of the actual collection. So it's kind of fun just to see all the different combos that can happen. And then there is also the support for pushing the layer images to NFT storage. A lot of stuff that we hope to actually make more kind of generic in a tool to allow people to more easily kind of build NFTs in sort of like a recommended way. So how we build rigs. And let's see. Yeah, so like Carson mentioned, we have started moving all of our engineering execution. We still to GitHub. We actually use Notion super heavily as a team, which has been awesome. And that's kind of our planning tool, but we've started to kind of mirror objectives and roadmaps, and then all the granular issues and stuff over to GitHub. So we'll be creating more GitHub projects that will be public, that people can follow along as well. Also, if you're a developer, definitely look out for, like good first issues and that kind of thing. Part of the reason for doing this is to allow people to, contribute and jump in. And this will kind of dovetail into the garage stuff, but one of the purposes of our badges is our rig badges is to kind of give credit where credit's due, and we'll be doing some for coding and stuff like that, so that should be fun. Cool. So yeah, on to the garage stuff. Last week we shared in the rigs holder channel some previews of the garage, and those should be shared out more broadly now. There's some links in the agenda here. We can also just dump them into general after this, or if someone wants to do that now, that'd be cool. So what we have now is just we spent a lot of time kind of figuring out the rules of the garage and the different experiences we want to sort of demo there. The first one we're going to be focusing on is what we call piloting. So the idea is that you can pilot your rig, you take it out of the garage and you pilot it. And this is somewhat analogous to Moonbird's nesting, where once you do that, the rig is not transferable anymore. With rigs, you'll see something indicated on the actual NFT that it is being piloted. So this is kind of enabled by the Tableland protocol. And the pilot experience is really meant to allow people to kind of fingerprint their rig in a way. So if you own a squiggle or something, you can essentially see it on the rig. So this idea of piloting is all about kind of attaching this pilot history to your rig. And I think the mock-ups that we'll share will hopefully make that a bit more clear. And yeah, so then after we do pilots, we're going to be focusing more on badges. So badges has this concept that I think is super useful to a lot of different projects. So this kind of reputation concept, and actually piloting also builds reputation. We have this notion of, we call it flight time. So this is sort of a reputation score in a way, these points that you build up over time. And they're not tokens, they're sort of like a soul-bound reputation point system, which is super useful. You don't really want reputation to be transferable in that way. So when you pilot, you'll be building flight time. When you do things in Tableland, you'll be building flight time, and badges are kind of markers of certain levels of flight time. So yeah, we'll be rolling kind of more of that stuff out as we go here. But yeah, we'd love any feedback on this stuff. The garage rules themselves, we can share as well. I'll make a little concise list of that and drop that in to the general. And yeah, super stoked about this. We're shooting for mid-October for the first garage update, or for the first version of the garage. But yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of testing and making sure it's a fun experience. So we don't really have an exact date that we're going to announce. But yeah. And let's see, over to Brian, allow list opportunities.
Thanks, Sander. What's up, y'all? We've got a bunch of things going on that I'll just run through here. So we have this allow list opportunity with the Popheads community. So this came in, one of the amazing artists from the Oddfellows team, Joyce. This is one of her new projects. And they invited us to have 40 whitelist spots for their mint that's happening in early November. So this was something that was shared out in the rigs chat. Actually, one of the things to mention is I'm actually going to mention a few things here that's rigs only. So if you don't have a rig yet, sorry. But for those that do, these are some of we're kind of just, as Sander was, starting to explore some of the features of the garage, we're building out more and more experiences that are unique for people that have a rig. So the Popheads partnership is like one of those benefits. We've also been doing these table raises experiences that have been mentioned. Right now, that's only for rigs owners, but we are exploring doing that for a wider community too. They've been really fun, and we're actually exploring what some next iterations of the table raise might be to expand some of the sophistication and areas that we explore together during those sessions. So some other things to note, and this is a little bit of a transition to the Convergence Gathering that's happening October 17th, the week of October 17th. So as mentioned in the announcement last week, I think we have a really cool partner that's helping us build out this world and gather. So it's going to be a really unique space that we all get to explore. I was actually just playing around in it this morning, and it's quite cool. We have the mesa and the garage, and it's just going to be a unique way to meet virtually. And we also have built in a feature where we will be bringing rigs in to gather to act as avatars. And so we announced that we're going to be doing we're going to bring 30 rigs in to gather. And some of these have gone to some people on the people on the core team. We also invited Joyce to have a selection of 5 from each a different fleet that we're calling Joyce's Choices. So those will be in there as well. And then we have 12 spots for the community to bring their rig into the gather space. So in the signups for Convergence, which was dropped and can share it as well here in the general channel again for anyone that didn't see it, there's signups to not only join Convergence, but also to enter the raffle, which we've had over 20 signups already, and the raffle is the winner's going to be announced on Friday. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure you get in there and drop your info for sign up and raffle possibilities. And other things coming up with Convergence, just to note. So we're going to be focused on that October 17th day for the whole community. And we're going to have a lot of cool things going on, from keynotes from the core team to demonstrations of some of the projects being built on Tableland right now, and a couple special speakers and announcements. So it's going to be a fun half day that we do together. So really excited to seeing you all there for that. And again, shared the info. It's just bit.ly/convergence info. Shared the link in general for you to check that out. So with that, I'll pass to Dan to jam on some of the pilot program stuff.
Cool. Just to check. Is there a lot of background noise going on with me, or are we good to go?
It's like your background tunes. It's all good.
Okay, I'll see if I can try to enable something to quiet. Maybe that's better, but I don't know. Anyways, we'll go ahead and review a couple of things. So we have the pilot program 2 coming up. We're basically just running through all the applications, a lot of interesting projects, anything from dynamic NFT projects to some basically trying to take physical goods and map them into digital objects, from more of a supply chain aspect to some others around just sorry, trying to pull this. But just a lot of great use cases that we'll be using Tableland. And basically, we have this 7-week program going to kick off on Monday. And throughout the entire pilot program, just like last time, we'll have various snapshot notes coming to the rigs holder community. So again, if you're a rigs holder, some benefits there. You get to see these different showcased items. You get to have a say in terms of who gets paid in terms of bounties and whatnot. So excited to kick that off. And again, we'll keep everyone involved throughout that process, but stay tuned for Thursday as we announce those actual results here in Discord. And then we should also be tweeting that out at some point as well, just to make sure everyone's aware of what the developer track is including for that pilot program. And then also note that we do have a growth track that we announced last week that involves some of the teams from the first pilot program. That was MetaBadge and the Dope Wars team, as well as Rebel. So those are part of our sort of separate growth track that we're helping with anything from like go-to-market to access to our investor network, things like that. So a lot going on with just that pilot program as a whole. Now, in parallel, or I guess just before that launch, is we've been running a couple of hackathons, ETH Online and 1.2 Web3. So ETH Online, sponsored by or ran by ETH Global team. Over the course of this past month, we had a ton of teams actually develop and use Tableland. So I think even more than Hackafest a couple of months back, we have 48 total teams. And the prizes that will be coming from that include a $1,000 bonus for the bounty for the that's primary winner, a runner-up for $500, and then a split pool prize for $3,500. So again, we'll be tweeting out and just posting about those here shortly. The plan is to do that tomorrow. And then additionally, we had the 1.2 Web3 hackathon sponsored or ran by, well, we were sponsored, but ran by Morales and the Protocol Labs team. A little bit smaller event, 12 total teams, had used Tableland running over the course of this month as well. So we'll be dishing out those prizes. Should be tomorrow, just working with some intricacies with just the Protocol Labs team to make sure that's good to go tomorrow. So it might come out the 30th, it might come out tomorrow, but for sure this week we'll be announcing those winners. And then also note that we created a showcase channel in Discord. So we'll also be posting those there as well. And if you are developing anything cool, just feel free to post it in the dev chat. And the Tableland team is always reviewing those and is going to continue to showcase cool projects that are just building with our protocol. So excited to see what everyone builds out there. And from there, I'll hand it over to Andrew to talk about some network metrics.
Yeah, super. Thanks. All really good updates. One thing before I jump into network metrics, I forgot to mention at the top of the call, we are actively hiring for a senior product designer. So there's a link in the agenda for that application. If that's you, or if you know somebody that you want to refer to work on some awesome projects with us, really important role, really significant team member we're looking for here. So finally, network metrics. We wanted to start opening up metrics to the community. So the first start of that is a retool dashboard that's linked in the agenda, and you can kind of look at how different features of the network have been used. Particularly, this is focused on on-chain activities, so less on the table read side and more on the write and update side and creation of tables. And we've been seeing some really cool patterns. I mean, growth on the network has been pretty great. We see a lot of fluctuation, but it keeps trending higher week over week. And so, and that includes, the writes and updates of tables, as well as the number of tables that are being modified every day, increasing pretty actively. Really, we had a really nice day in middle September where we saw over 2,000 on-chain transactions. So modifying and updating data on Tableland, and we're just seeing a lot more unique tables being created, and everything is going up, which is great. So a couple things about that. Next season, one of the big focuses is going to be about attaching and collecting metrics to many, many more things that we're building. And we're going to do our best to compile those into public dashboards where everybody can watch how this project is progressing and building traction and building usage and really just helping push Web3 forward And so hopefully all of you are interested in following along that. And if there's specific things you want to see, let us know at Convergence. That might be a really good thing to share, and we can make sure that it becomes part of our planning week, which is the week following, and we get those metrics added and start collecting them over next season. But anyway, yeah, metrics looking awesome. Check out that dashboard. You can see kind of what we're looking at, and yeah, only up. So with that, I think if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand now, or like we mentioned before, just pop over to in general and type them out, and we can address those now.
Well, did anyone notice that of the top 15 tables activity, the number 1 is called leaderboard? I mean, that's kind of meta right there. The leader table is the leaderboard table. Pretty cool.
I think I might know who that is too, which is also kind of cool.
Cool. I've not seen any questions here, so I don't want to linger too long. We'll put this up in a YouTube video, so you can scrub back through it if you like, or you can share it with other folks if they want to get caught up. If you have any questions about any of this, the protocol work, like Sander mentioned, a lot of that's moving over to GitHub, so there should be good spots to discuss a lot of the work and projects going forward. And as far as the rig development, if you have questions about the garage or any of that stuff, just jump over to the rig owners channel. Happy to talk through all of that. And yeah, we're really excited about Convergence, and hopefully all of you will join us there. And it's looking like it's going to be a really fun little experience. So thanks for your time today, and hope this has been fun to listen into.